Hey guys, Argent here with the second positive movie review in a row. Now, I know a lot of you are like, but Argent, you hate everything. I don't hate everything. I like about a third of what I see. I think about a third of what I see is okay, and I hate about a third of what I see. Like, I liked Ghost in the Shell. I thought Kong Island was okay. Um, Trainspotting 2 just wasn't my kind of thing. I wouldn't say it was good or bad. It's just not something that appeals to me personally. But I like this movie. I was thinking of seeing it in theaters, but I looked at it and I'm like, why is a horror movie 146 minutes long? Why is there a horror movie that's in 2.5 hours? It just seems excessive. It's a genre that kind of thrives on 90-minute movies. Some horror movies don't even really have enough to fill the 90 minutes and they have to rely on padding. So this could have gone either way. It could have either been, which I think what it did was it largely used its time to just build up the tension and to just build up kind of the mystery, or it could just be a complete waste of time. I think something this movie does need is editing. I think you could probably take 20 minutes off of this. You could probably take a fair amount of money, a fair amount of time off this movie to make it substantially better. I also think maybe they could have edited it or added in some more dialogue to make it a bit less confusing, because I kind of got lost a couple times throughout the movie. Overall, though, I'd say A Cure for Wellness is a good gothic horror movie. And if you like horror movies, if you kind of like gothic movies, if you like movies that are kind of homages to 19th century stuff like Dracula or H. Rider or whatever his name is, then I think you'd like this movie. So I would recommend it. So let's get into A Cure for Wellness. So, A Cure for Wellness is a mystery movie with kind of, I guess, I don't know if you call him a Byronic hero, an anti hero character. So, basically, there's a young, ambitious executive named Lockhart, and he succeeds his boss, who dies by heart attack, to the board of directors. The board of directors, however, finds out that Lockhart is stealing money from the company. I think he's only stealing a bit of money. They're all stealing a ton more money, but they basically say, look, we're going to merge the company with another company. You have to go and find the owner of this company. So the guy who owns the company is in a weird spa up in the Swiss Alps. So they tell Lockhart, look, we're going to pin all this crap on you, all this stuff we've been doing. You'll go to jail for the rest of your life. However, if you go and you get Pembroke to sign off on this merger, then we'll make you fabulously wealthy. So this is kind of the framing device. It's not particularly important to the movie. It's just to give him an excuse to go there. I think that was pretty common in a lot of stuff. Like, didn't Jonathan Harker go there for like insurance or something? Anyways, it seems like in a lot of these gothic things, there's a very mundane reason that they head over there. So he heads to the Swiss Alps and he finds this beautiful castle up on a mountain. And around the castle, there's kind of a tiny town. I'm not sure if this is supposed to take place in Switzerland or Germany. I got more of a German vibe off of it, but it doesn't really matter. So, let's see here. They're also hoping to pin a lot of the criminal stuff on Pembroke if he comes back. So Lockhart arrives at the sanitarium and he's met by the villain of this movie, Francis York Morgan. His real name is Francis. Sorry if anyone doesn't get that reference, I'm sorry. But anyways, so he comes across Dr. Volmer, who's kind of the main villain of this movie. So he keeps trying to speak with Pembroke, but they keep interrupting him. They keep delaying him. They keep making him drink this water that apparently has healing properties. And he eventually gets through them and talks to Pembroke. And Pembroke is thinking about coming back. He's thinking about signing the letter. and just kind of signing off on the whole the whole deal, basically. So Lockhart decides to go back and spend the night in the town because, frankly, the sanitarium creeps him out. Everyone there just kind of wears white clothing and lives a life of leisure. Spas, hydrotherapy, water polo, chess, reading, going to balls. Just all it's wealthy people from all over the world. Kind of the richest, most powerful people on earth go to this place as kind of a retirement, and no one ever leaves because they're so happy there. Yes, that's the reason, obviously. They're happy there. Why do you even need to ask if there's something suspicious going on? So Lockhart's like, no, I'm not going to stay in this freaking creepy place. So while driving down the mountain, the car he's in gets hit by an elk. And he wakes up in the sanitarium with a cast on his leg. So they basically advise him to wait there until his leg heals, and he'll be able to leave with Pembroke. So while he's at the spa, he meets a girl named Hannah, who, like Dr. Volmer, drinks a strange liquid kept in a cobalt bottle. We have no idea what it is, though. He also meets a patient named Victoria Watkins. Victoria Watkins tells him a story about that the castle they're in was once owned by a baron 200 years ago. The Baron was a member of the Targaryen dynasty and desired to keep the purple eyes and white and silver hair in the family, so he married his sister. However, he found out his sister was infertile, so he began to perform hellish experiments on the peasants around. He eventually succeeded in curing his sister's infertility by experimenting on the peasants. However, the peasants were, of course, pissed off, and they rose up and burned his castle down. Before he was burned, the Baron's pregnant sister had her baby cut out and tossed into the local aqueduct. Somehow this baby survives. So then we have a completely pointless scene where Lockhart spends like 20 minutes of the movie going down to the local village with Hannah to get a beer. And it turns out there's like a bunch of skinheads there. I'm not even sure if they're Nazis. They just could be punks. So there's a bunch of punks there. He gets into a really stupid fight with them. He talks to the local doctor, who seems like he's going to play a big role in this movie, but never shows up again. And he shows the guy a medical chart, and he's like, people's teeth are falling out. And the guy's like, how is that possible? And the other guy's like, dehydration. And Lockhart's like, how can it be dehydrated? All they do is drink water there. And the guy's like, you don't want to know. So then there's the deer there that he hit, and that they hit earlier in the movie, and he puts it out of its misery by cutting it open, and a whole bunch of eels come out. And this is a recurrent theme in the movie, that there's just all these eels everywhere that Lockhart keeps seeing, and we're not sure if it's a mystery or not. So Lockhart starts going through the castle exploring, and he finds out that the aqueduct they're in has special properties that... So this is kind of the issue. I find it very confusing how the whole mechanics of this work. So what we know is there's the aqueduct and there's something in the water. Now, if the water is magical because of the demonic... Because the Baron used like some sort of ritual to get his sister pregnant, and then when they tossed the demon baby in, if the demon baby was what made the water special, or if it was already special, I don't know. So apparently what happens is they put eels inside of the people, and the eels live hundreds of years because they're able to live off of the water in the aqueduct. And somehow something involving eels, water, and the people produces the cure, which makes you immortal. It makes you live forever, keeps you young and healthy. So this whole thing is they take people from across the world, brainwash them, presumably take their money to keep the whole thing going because they're all wealthy people. And then they use their bodies to basically host these eels so that they can continue to survive forever. And it turns out that the doctor is actually the Baron, which no one saw coming. So, I mean, that's kind of one of the problems of this movie I have. Well, I do like it. I just didn't understand like how the mechanics of it worked, if like just how the eels were involved. I don't know. But it produces a cure, and Hannah takes it, and the doctor takes it, and some other people take it. So they begin to torture Lockhart. One of his teeth falls out, and they strap him down and drill out another one of his teeth. They then begin to torture him and perform experiments on him until he goes insane. And they basically gaslight him a whole bunch and convince him that he's sick and that his whole thing is like a paranoid delusion. So after he becomes convinced the whole thing's a paranoid delusion, he's like, I'm sick. I have to stay here. I have to get better. I have to take the cure. And as he's writing it, he's writing his kind of resignation letter to his bosses, because he's like, it's over. I'm just going to give up. I'm going to stay here until I get better. And then he's like, wait a minute. None of this makes any sense. And then he just starts going through the whole thing in his mind. And he's like... So as he's writing, he's like, wait a minute. I'm in some kind of weird acid trip. None of this makes any sense. So he breaks the glass he's holding, and he uses the glass to cut open his cast, and it turns out his leg was never broken. The whole thing was just basically a dream, as it were. So he goes out and he starts basically, he tries to get the people to help him. But they all are brainwashed, so they basically attack him. And he somehow manages to escape. I'm not sure how exactly after everyone's attacking him. But he manages to get away. And after he gets... No. Sorry, I'm getting confused. Sorry, he got attacked before the gaslighting, I think. Sorry, this movie is really long, and there's a lot of kind of unnecessary stuff they should cut out, so I'm getting a bit confused, even though I watched it yesterday. So he basically succeeds in breaking the mental conditioning. So he takes a whole bunch of gas and just coats a lot of the castle with it. And then he goes after the Baron. Now, apparently, Hannah was actually the Baron's daughter, the one who was cut out of her mother's womb and thrown into the aqueducts. So, why is she only like 18? Did she just age really slowly? And that's what the thing does, is it just, the cure makes you age really slow. So the Baron's been feeding her the cure for the last 200 years, waiting for her to come of age. Or... I don't really get it. But regardless of that, he's like, okay, my daughter's of age. She's the last one of my bloodline. I'm going to breed with her. So he ties her down and is about to rape her. Lockhart shows up, and he succeeds in basically confronting the Baron. The Baron takes off his face, and it turns out that he has hideous burns under it. That through the cure he had survived when he was burned alive back in the day. So Lockhart burns him again because he's coated the area with gasoline. So they attempt to escape, Hannah and him, but the Baron's still alive, and Hannah kills him by hitting him in the head with a shovel. And then he falls into a pit of water, and the carnivorous eels devour him. So as the spa is burning down, Lockhart and Hannah escape on a bicycle as the fire consumes everything. On the road, they crash into a car carrying his employers, which are there for some reason. They've arrived from New York to retrieve him in Pembroke. Lockhart is ordered into the car by the employers, who hope he will return to New York with them. They figure out that the whole plan is to pin everything on Lockhart. Him and Hannah just run away, and he finally feels that he's been cured. So that's kind of a summary of A Cure for Wellness. I know I probably didn't explain it very well. The cinematography is really good in this movie. It's very creepy. The plot builds up really slowly. I think the payoff largely works. It's a good Gothic story. It's very gritty. It's very dirty. There's a good contrast between, I guess, like dirt and white and water and dryness throughout the film. And there's a lot of good gaslighting. You're never really sure if what Lockhart's seeing is real, if it's something, his mind playing tricks on him, if it's something in the water, literally. The biggest problem with this movie is its plot is kind of convoluted and kind of hard to determine like how stuff works, and that could have been really easily fixed. Also, it's too damn long at 2.5 hours. If they had have taken like half an hour out of this movie would have been a lot better. Even so, I recommend this movie for people who like horror movies, people who like gothic movies, people maybe like adventure movies. It's a good film. It gets my recommendation, but it might not be for everyone. This isn't like a great movie. This is a pretty good movie. It's a fun horror movie. So yeah, that's the film. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll talk to you guys later.